Hey everyone, welcome back. So we are so excited for our new season of The Village, and thank you for journeying with us. Today we wanted to talk about back to school. For parents, perhaps the most wonderful time of the year.
Sometimes, except for those of us who like to sleep in.
That is true. For kids though, it's not always the case. Granted, there's definitely a lot of kids who love school, but I actually got to do something really cool over the summer. I got to work with a bunch of girls who sometimes, all of them sort of struggle with a little bit of anxiety, and there was a lot of anxiety about going back to school. Even for the girls who, had already been at the school they were at, they kind of knew the teachers, they had a friend group there, just so much anxiety because it's a big thing in their world, they're going to be spending 5 days a week, 6 to 7 hours a day in this place. So that's huge for kids. So we just wanted to chat about how you as parents, teachers, caregivers, how you kind of help your child navigate this. So Connie, I'm really curious to know what some of your experience has been, with your kids going to school, if there's anxieties around that, what that looks like.
Oh, we've had lots of anxiety experiences around school. My little one last year was starting grade 1.
Okay.
And so he was very nervous because he was going to a new school. And so I was able to arrange with the principal a tour of the school, and he met his teacher before school started. And then that day, the day that school started, I was able to go with him, and the teachers were there. They knew that he already struggled with this, so they were able to have a plan in place for him, which really helped. I feel like the more a parent can communicate with the teachers or the school, the better off it is. Whereas if we're just like, that's it, just go to school, like suck it up, don't stop your whining. I think that's when kids feel worse. But we also don't want to over baby them.
Right.
Because they do have to go to school. And so figuring out how can we work together with the teacher? What are some things that they do to help? And then talking about it.
I'm really you're sort of describing that role of, as a parent, being an advocate for your child. And being able to say to the school, hey, this is what I know about my kid. This is what I know works for them. This is what I know doesn't work for them. Where can you meet me on this? How can we make this work? And most schools and teachers, I think they really actually want to do that. They want to see their students succeed. And I mean, you think about it, being a teacher in a classroom with 24 kids, that's a lot of energy and a lot of, little personalities to try and figure out a balance. So at least in my perspective, I feel like the more information I had about different kids, that would help me so much.
Yes.
To just feel like I could walk into my classroom prepared and, okay, I know what I need to do to meet each child where they're at. So that's a huge one. Another big one that comes up is a lot of concerns about friendships. At least with the little girls that I spoke with, that was their main thing. Was, am I going to get bullied this year? Am I going to be left out? How do I make new friends? How do I talk to people? These were some really, big questions for them, and they were thinking about them a lot. And I think it's easy for us as adults to sometimes dismiss that, right? Oh, you'll be fine, just go. But it is really scary in a child's world to be that one kid who doesn't get picked for the team.
Yes.
Or who, is standing alone on the playground.
And no one likes to be alone. Alone is awkward. Actually, one of the definitions of loneliness I read this summer was that you can be surrounded by people and feel lonely, because loneliness is when you're not having a shared experience. So you feel lonely. You're on the playground, you're with the kids, but no one's sharing that moment with you. That is vulnerable and scary. In fact, one of the reasons why I think we have such a rise in anxiety in kids is because there isn't this understanding of knowing how to be relational anymore, which we talk about a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that can be huge as a parent, teacher, just being aware of that and really, trying to facilitate opportunities for your child to learn those skills.
Yeah.
You can even make it a game at home. Hey, let's pretend that I'm Susie and I'm new on the playground. How are you going to introduce yourself to me? What might you ask me? What could we say? And being there to really listen. It's not about solving the problem. Even with bullying, a lot of the time, kids don't necessarily want adults to solve it for them. They first and foremost always just want to be listened to.
Yes.
And taken seriously.
Yes.
So I think providing that safe place at home, that security, is going to enable them to go into that school environment with all its anxieties and uncertainties in a much stronger and more confident place.
Yes. We find that with resilience, children just need a safe, you call it a landing pad.
Yeah.
A landing pad, and home can be that landing pad. When our children come home from perhaps a rough day, we can't rescue them from our world, but we can be that safe haven where they know they belong, and that gives them enough resilience to bounce back to school. Whereas a lot of the kids that struggle in school are the ones that just don't have that landing pad. They come home to overworked parents who don't have the emotional or time capacity to listen to their kids. So listening is huge.
Yes.
And really trying to understand and meet them where they're at. I love what you're saying here, because it's so true. That's important.
Yeah, and I think, the funny thing too, when we talk about anxiety, is really, I knew this one therapist, and she would always say, whenever someone said to her, "Oh, I've been feeling really anxious," she'd say, "Okay, so what are you not allowing yourself to feel?"
Oh.
And that was her question. And really, a lot of the time, I think that's kind of what's happening with kids going to school and feeling anxious. It's the fear, it's the uncertainty, the loneliness sometimes, that sense of inadequacy. Am I good enough? So helping them name those things and address those underlying things it's going to be huge too in alleviating some of that stress.
Which means we need to be okay with those emotions. And parents, we find it hard sometimes to be, what do you mean you're lonely? If I'm an outgoing parent, I might struggle with understanding what that looks like. Or we want our children to succeed and achieve. And I think a lot of us need to lay down our desires for what we think is a successful child. And just be there for wherever our kids are at. Because we cannot live vicariously through our children or expect them to be at some level that is unrealistic for them. I think that's another reason why there's so much anxiety, is kids just feel the pressure to be on all the time and perform, and I'm doing great in school, and yes, I have lots of friends, and that's a lot of pressure.
It's tons of pressure. Yeah, no wonder kids don't want to go there, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's, one of the areas in which, especially, teachers as well, that we can sort of try and figure out, what does success look like for this child? Because it's going to be different than for that kid. And how do we empower them? So maybe this child has a learning disability. So maybe English, 20-1 is not going to be their thing. That's okay. And really celebrating that, and celebrating, the other areas where they are stronger, things like that. I think, and teaching our kids too how to advocate for themselves.
Yes.
When they're grade 1 and 2, 3, elementary, absolutely they need you as the parent to be able to, go to the teacher and really teach the teacher about your child. But as your child gets older, we can start teaching them how to teach others about themselves.
Yes.
Things like, hey, it helps me if you, give me handouts rather than expect me to copy stuff down from the board, or whatever it is. Giving kids, I think, the tools to know themselves well and to set themselves up for success.
Very important.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.